My name's Nathan Silm. I live on Cedar Creek Orchard. I have my whole life, and I am the one making Cedar Creek cider. Yeah, that's me, Nathan Silm. My earliest memories when we were really young, I'd ride around in the ute with Dad a lot. I might have been like 5 or 6 or around that age, and Dad would stop driving, put me on his lap basically, and then I would steer while Dad would operate the rest of the vehicle. That was one of my best memories. If I try and think back to growing up, I definitely spent a lot of time asking, like, why was I so lucky to grow up here on the farm? Why did I get to be the one with a massive dam that I could swim in, and motorbikes, and a loving family? And that in a way has shaped me to try and be very grateful for what I have. I could understand from a young age that I had a blessing growing up here, and I never really figured out why. But I think the biggest thing that came out of me growing up here was my absolute passion for my family. Growing up, you know how your family always asks you, like, what do you want to do when you're older? And growing up, I got to see the different aspects of the orchard and the business that my parents run. I didn't want to join any specific part of that, but I knew I wanted to do something on the farm. So when I turned 18 and I started drinking, I started making cider, and things just kind of clicked after that. So apple cider is essentially very simple. You can complicate it, but we try not to. You take apple juice that has no preservatives in it, you add a yeast, and the yeast converts sugar to alcohol. As the sugar drops, that's how you get more alcoholic. So then what you want to do is pick your sweetness. So we ferment out to dryness, and then we back sweeten with fresh apple juice to a percentage of alcohol. The sweetness will vary, so the cider will vary a little bit per batch because we really don't control it as much as some other people do. So, you know, it gets better as you go, I guess. There is like so many cider companies in Australia. I think that there's a lot of companies that like to take shortcuts, I guess. But I think that people are drawn to Cedar Creek cider probably through my ability to realise that our story is essentially us. Like, we have a very good story to tell, and I think that I am the first one of the family to try and put that out on mass awareness. So the way that we tell stories, the way that we design our can, the way that we grab people's attention, I think that's something that we're doing better than other companies our size. I think that's why we're gaining traction, and probably the fact that we try and put as much value towards the customer as we can. It would be easy for me to try and maximise profits. Instead, I'm trying to lower costs for our consumers, because I think that's a good way to grow. I can't speak for what the legacy of the Cedar Creek Orchard is. Like, that's still being written. But I spend a fair amount of time trying to picture the future, like where I want to take my business, where I see my family's business heading. Like, I try and spend a lot of time analysing what do I see happening, how can we get there, what do I need to do. Like, I focus more on that than the day-to-day really. But if I try and think about where the orchard as a whole is in 10 years, I'm trying not to say destination because that's what Dad said, but that's what it is. It's probably stemmed from family. Like, we're 4 generations in now. If I think back to my pa, like, his greatest love in life is his kids and his grandchildren. He definitely shaped his orchard the way it is from being practically smart, like he didn't go to uni, and that's kind of continued on ever since then. I think about my pa a lot. I got super close to him just before he passed away. It's funny how timing works, but one of the funniest things before Pa passed away was, we ended up finding some cider equipment that Pa had a while ago. So like some of the equipment I've bought, he already had it, and it just says that he was already mucking around with that idea in his head. It probably wasn't the right time for him to do it, otherwise he probably would have, and I probably wouldn't have a job. He would have done a lot better than me, I reckon. So yeah, I think Pa would be heaps proud of the orchard as a whole, and me, for sure. Cedar Creek Orchard will probably get into many things, but in 10 years' time, we'll still be a family business that is growing fruit, making cider, attracting people to the orchard to provide value. That's what I see Cedar Creek being in 10 years. Cedar Creek is everything that I've grown up to know. Cedar Creek to me is where I want my kids to grow up. I want them to grow up the way I did, like with family. I want them to grow up on the same orchard I grew up on. If you look at the last 4 years, all I've done is start building this business for the long term. Not doing anything that's short-minded. This is a business I want to grow, that I want to support me and my future family, and Cedar Creek is essentially where I want to be for the rest of my life anyway.